A grand jury this afternoon indicted a former St. Tammany Parish deputy for filing false public records and malfeasance.
Katie Moore first exposed Deputy Ricky Steinert in a series of investigative reports with the New Orleans Advocate after the St. Tammany sheriff said he didn't believe Steinert committed a crime. Here's Katie with the latest.
He's talking too much. They got to get him.
Relax. Guess what? Turn around. I told you I'm not having court on the side of the road.
A cell phone video taken in 2016 shows Ryan Hyde passing a DWI field sobriety test. But the police report written by former St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Deputy Ricky Steinert said the opposite. When Sheriff Randy Smith found out about the video and the report, he called Steinert in for questioning by internal investigators. Steinert resigned. Our reports exposed the problems with Hyde's arrest and identified others. These 3 arrest reports, all written by Steinert, had identical language in them about the nystagmus or eye portion of the test.
If you look at these 2 sections of this report, the verbiage is identical except for the names. It's specific language like, during the test, McFarland had to be told 4 different times to stop moving his head and follow his finger.
Is it coincidental?
What are the chances that he had to tell both of these individuals and a third 4 times to stop moving his head and follow his finger?
And during our investigation in the Hyde arrest, it did prove that there was some untruthfulness.
At the time, Sheriff Randy Smith said he didn't think Steinert had committed a crime, and he did not launch a criminal investigation. But after our reports, Smith sent the case to the Attorney General's office for review. They sent it to the St. Tammany Parish District Attorney, and a grand jury indicted Steinert on 1 count of falsely swearing for the purpose of violating public health or safety, and 1 count of malfeasance. Sheriff Smith released this statement about the indictment, saying, quote, "I wish to thank the Attorney General and the District Attorney's Office for their efforts in this regard, and I am confident our court system will see that justice is served."
We also revealed that after all of this happened, Steinert got a job with the Red River Parish Sheriff. After our reports, the Red River Sheriff fired Steinert for lying on his job application. When reached by phone today, Ryan Hyde said he's ecstatic about the indictment. Katie Moore, Eyewitness News.